dreaming of being really him, not them. Shining like a diamond, glazing, looking amazing. No need to be in the sun when you're already shining like one. Welcome to Freedom Mind, where you be divine and you can be the shine. Today we got a special guest that is actually my dad. How are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. Thanks for having me. Things are well.
That's good. So the first question I'm gonna get into is, can you share your journey of becoming a single father? What led to the transition, and how did you navigate through the initial challenges?
Um, well, first and foremost, I was at uh, a late bloomer, so to speak. I thought I wouldn't be able to have any children. I think I was 36, something like that. Yeah, I think I was 36 when you were conceived, and so it was. Well, since we being transparent, um, me and your mom met, and we began to have relations, interactions, and which didn't last very long at all. You know, maybe a whole or 2 months. You know, anyway, um, I would see her around town, and she told me that she would tell me that every time she see me we would talk. I would talk to her disgruntledly because everything that has transpired between me and her. But she would tell me that, and I was in disbelief. I thought maybe possibly I wasn't, possibly I was, you know. So there was a lot of things that I didn't know. You know, there was a lot of things she didn't know, and I'm gonna just speak to what I didn't know is that you had three brothers older than you by her, and man, this is a lot. Um, so I found that out. I found out their whereabouts and things as such as that. Um, and I so when you were born, I'll get to that. The day you were born, I was working for a friend of mine named Greg Kitley. He wouldn't mind me saying his name, and got a phone call from your mom. I was helping to build a house, and we I told him what was going on. So he took me to Sacred Heart Hospital and dropped me off, and I got to the hospital, found the I found out where I needed to go, and I went there, and there was this guy there, and so I walked to the people, told me your mom's name and stuff, and they told me I couldn't come in,
Mm,
and I was putting it mildly, I was perturbed, you know.
mm,
So the guy was trying to explain, yo, I'm not the father. He is, you know.
mm,
Anyway, for some odd reason they didn't let me in, so I left the hospital, man, and so and didn't go back,
mm,
and didn't go back. I was that upset.
right.
Like so, 30 days later, about 30 days later, I get a phone call, and it was from the Child Protective Service,
Mm,
and they asked me my name. Yes, that's me, and they started talking to me, and they asked me, "Well, is that your son?" I said, I'm not sure, you know. And they said,
mm,
"Is it possible?" Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, it's possible. It's not as well." So anyway, we so then he started telling me things that I needed to do, you know, because of my background.
mm,
Anyway, because of the violence and criminal history, felonious behavior. So I told him I wasn't doing none of that, and I hung up the phone. And I don't know, I had a moment of clarity. Thank God for caller ID. I man, I'm getting a little emotional about this. So I called him back, man, and I told him, hey man, I apologize for the little fit I just had, but so whatever it is you need me to do, I'll do it. I'm willing to do it. It don't even matter what it looks like. I can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reluctantly in the beginning, you know, but it was a part of me that was like, you know what? This ain't even about me, you know. So I went to the hospital, man, and so that day, Carrie, Melissa, and Susan came and picked me up. And so no, he told me I can visit the next day at Sacred Heart. So that's where you were. Um, and it was kind of like you was in prison. Like you
Mm-hmm.
was in jail. They had you secluded. Anyway, we get there, man, and um, I got to see you for the first time, man, and it was pretty cool. It was beyond that, actually. And I don't know, you were your mom was on a very high dose of methadone. She had to take for some complications she was having with her back, and so anyway, man. So you were on that as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it so I kept coming back, man, every week, and you stayed there for like a month. Then you were put in foster care, and I was staying in the valley, and so I started having to go over there on Atlantic. Used to be the CPS office. They would bring you there. I would be able to visit under supervision, and I didn't like it, man. I didn't like the fact that I had to be supervised. You know what I
Right.
mean? With my child, because at this point I gotten we gotten the blood work back, and there was a definite, and in my mind still, um, you look so much like her, and I was still a part of me that was kind of like in denial, like anyway, but that's the that's the reality of it. So I would go down there and visit. So, and it got to a point where you was at the um, foster care, and I would go to I would meet the lady in the valley when you would have appointments and doctor's appointments. And one time you had got this ear infection, and I was going to school, and I used to be so tired, man. I had to go. I was doing all kind of stuff for them, jumping through these hoops, man. And I you had a ear infection in both ears, and they put these some kind of things in your ear, and they said they would dissolve. It would fix the problem. Anyway, man, I remember staying there at the hospital with you all night, um, a couple times. You were kind of sickly. You was always ending up in the hospital for something. But I would always go out there and stay the night. So we got to a point to where I was able to they would allow you to come stay with me overnight, and we going back and forth to court, seeing lawyers, all kind of stuff, and it was a fight. Jamaica was very upset. Um, I was upset because my plans were different than hers. Once I found out you got that she was pregnant, I wanted to get married. You
Mm-hmm.
know, And she had other ideas, and I'm pretty sure I must have been pretty upset about that. I guess I felt rejected. Why wouldn't you want to be with me and my son, our child, and whatever?
Right.
Um, anyway, um, so you start spending the night with me, and this went on. So it all this started in like once you got out of the hospital. So it was October. So he was born September 9th. So October, maybe 9th was the first time I seen you. It was about a month old. So now we're in November. All this is going on, man, and so one weekend, and I get excited about Friday and Saturday. I would get to have you, and I would take you to meetings with me, and let's have this thing, and I say, hey, you on my chest, catching a bus. Oh man. So in navigating through all that, man, I had a lot of help, a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to all these. I remember when I had to go to this one hearing, being that you was being that you are, part native, is that I had to go to this board they had, and they used to be over there at the Native Project. That's where I would. Is that where it was? No, no. Actually, that's where they used to be. But we had this meeting at the CPS office, man. So and I felt like being that I used to go to prison a lot, I felt like I was going to the Morsi board or something. So when you went to prison, and so the state would never pick up the charges, but you had to go in front of this board of people. I don't know who they were. But you have to sit in front of them, and they would determine what your fate was gonna be. And they always kind of broke me off.
Right.
So sitting in front of these people, I felt like that. You know, it kind of yeah, it took me back to that, and I felt like kind of powerless in a sense. Like they got control,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, man. This is what I do know. At that time, I it's like I feel now that any problem that I had, God was bigger than my problem, and that was like one of the biggest obstacles that I had to walk through. Like is getting custody of you. So anyway, we're at this board, and they asked me a question, man, and the question was, I never forget it. A man asked me the question, and he asked me, "Why are you even here?" It wasn't the question; it was how he said it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I lost it. I kind of looked at them all, and I said, I asked him, "I beg your pardon," and I said, "Excuse my language, but why the fuck wouldn't I be here? Wouldn't
Right.
any father be here for their child?"
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I got scared after I said it, but not really. I had to make the point like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I'm here, I care. Um, that's and I hate to make it sound selfish like that, but I was thinking like that. I was in that frame of mind, like that's my seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that went over well with them people. I don't know. I didn't hear nothing else from it. So about so that was like in November. So I kept doing the visits. So one weekend they told me we not bringing Dreamer this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost it. I I like why the fuck. I was talking to the CPS where why the fuck you
Mm-hmm.
not bringing them this weekend? I look forward to these weekends. Anyway, there's like he's sick and whoop de whoop. I was like okay. So what that mean? I know how to take care of a sick child. Bring me the medication, and let me do my bidding. Anyway, it didn't happen. So about I remember, man. I never forget, man. I was on the bus, man, and I stayed in the valley. I was on the 90, and I was right past Home Depot. I never forget it. I can see it like it was yesterday. And I got a phone call, and the people said it was December 15th, 2003, 2004, and the dude called me, man. He said, "Hey, what's up, George?" And what I did was I just started befriending the people. You know what I mean? Like I did everything they said, but it wasn't like out of fear or none of that. But I just befriended the people. I just leaned into it and embraced it. All that stuff they had me doing. So, um, December 15th, I'm on the bus. They call me and they say, "Hey, how you doing, George? Are you at home?" I was like, "No." So how long will you be home? So I'm thinking they finna bring you over for a visit, and they said, "Dreamer is we getting ready to drop Dreamer off, and he coming home today."
Mm.
Man, I was scared to death, but I was elated. You know, your mom found out. She was pissed. Um, she was. I was like, it wasn't my decision to make. I just did what they told me to do.
Right.
And I had to continue doing this stuff. They were watching me with a fucking, I don't know, birds, like under a microscope, man. Everything I did. I had to check in with them all the time, man. They had me seeing a psychologist, which I thought was crazy, you know. But when I think about it nowadays, it's more common than not.
Mm.
Um, and I was pissed when it was over. You know, he told me like this was like in I don't know March or so. But anyway, back to that day, man. I got home and they showed up, man, and they had your stuff, and that was um, a different chapter. From the
Mm.
beginning was the beginning. Like when I met your mom, that was the beginning, right? So that was just another chapter, and man, I was scared to death, man. I called my mom and was like, "I'm getting them," and she was like, "You got it, right?" She said, "You've been taking care. Um, you know how to care for a baby. You know what I mean?" So so I did, with a lot of help, man. One of my biggest supporters was your godmother, man. She was very instrumental, in in your upbringing, very instrumental, man. She was always there. She was hands on, anything. There was another lady named Laura. Her and her daughter name was Shana. Um, they were very instrumental in yeah, they anytime I just needed to hey, can y'all take Dreamer? You know what I mean? Melissa, Carrie, very instrumental. Although Melissa was just scared of the whole thing, you know. And then all the medication and stuff. Well, it was one medication you was taking. Then you had to do these breathing treatments.
Mm.
Um, but Melissa had a hard time with the medication thing. So anyway, man, it was quite it's been quite the experience. But looking back on that, it was tough, man. Hell, I didn't know what I was doing, and I wanted to do everything perfect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. I have not. And that's okay. But I've done it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's good, man. But yeah, that was tough, man. And yeah, you always kind of had your own personality.
Mm-hmm.
Which was even as a baby. Yeah. When I think back on that stuff, you just been always kind of who you were and who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was tough navigating through all that, man. A lot of heartache, a lot of joy. Yeah. So it's been good though. It was good, man. I wouldn't change none of it, any of it. Yeah.
Second question. With my mother passing away, how did it affect you with you and her's relationship than as being a parent? Like, how did it, when you first heard about it, like, how did you feel? Like, what were the challenges through that?
Uh, wow. Good question. So, a couple days before your mom passed, less than a week, man. At the time, I was staying on. It was eighth and something. You know. I want to say it might have been Cedar. I don't know. It was one block east of Maple, whatever that street is. And I was at home and early in the morning and got a knock on the door, and it was this lady, man, and I didn't care for her. She was an advocate. She was an advocate for um, moms and in that kind of situation that had children involved in CPS and this kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and yeah, she would so when we was navigating through all that court stuff, she was always in it, like she knew me,
Right.
and she didn't. What she seen was um, maybe a transcript of what has transpired in my life prior, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's what she knew of me, and the world does judge me by that, right? Those are my thoughts and actions throughout life, dealing with uh, the state of California, the state of Washington. Ain't that something? You're dealing with the whole state. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But anyway, so she came to the door and she said Jamaica's in the hospital, and she told me where she was at, and she's in a coma, and so that was like devastating. So I went to, so two, it was less than a week before that I seen her at Zip Trip right there on 10th,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
she was in there, and we had a conversation. I was like, "What's up, man?" You know, anyway, we had our conversation, and she was pissed because I wouldn't since there were some things I just wouldn't allow, um, and and I don't mean I had to I had the voice to allow it or not to, right? And so the things I would allow, she could come see you anytime she wanted to at the house. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she could go visit you at your child care center, the Little Red Schoolhouse, but I wouldn't let her leave with you or none of that. You
Right.
know, and out of fear and just out of fear and just not trusting that. Like I think my biggest fear was man, she gonna run off. That was probably my biggest fear. But when she did visit you and did see you, it was amazing. Like I could see the connection. You know what I mean? Like even though you guys wasn't around each other or none of that, I could be able to see um, the connection. Just sit back and just watch how you would gravitate towards her and how she, yeah, it was kind of cool to see that, and I wish, um, I don't know, man, nothing happens in God's world by mistake.
Right.
Um, I So me wishing things is kind of like me saying, I'm kind of like I'm the orchestrator or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, either I'm powerless or I'm powerful in all areas of my life, man. But yeah, it was nice to see that and see the connection. Like, he know that's his mom. He know that's his mother. Um, anyway, the lady brought me that information. So for 2 days, man, I thought about it, and I wouldn't allow myself to go. Uh, One day I came and got you from I never forget. I was vivid. Um, Came home, went down to the Little Red Schoolhouse, picked you up. We got back to the house, and I grabbed your stuff, and I said, "All right, man, let's go see your mom." Right? And I said that to you out loud. We went there, and it was different. I had never experienced something like that. It was yeah, even though I loved your mom. You know what I mean? It was tough, man, seeing her in that position, and she she was young, man. You know what I mean? Like she was like 27. You know. Anyway, it was tough, man. So her parents were there. Her mom was there, and her grandfather, and it was quite the experience, man. It was so we stayed there for about an hour, and then we went the next day, and it was funny. She got a brother named Skywalker, man, and a lot of people know him here in town. Um, Cool dude, man. So I met him that day. Very how can I say it? He was receptive of me. You know what I mean? Like he talked to me. He engaged with me. You know, told me like conversations that he would have with his sister about me and all that situation that was going on. And what bothered me more than anything else is the grandfather never acknowledged me,
Mm.
never looked at me, never shook my hand, none of that, never touched you. That's what bothered me. I've been seeing that kind of shit all my life. You know what I mean? That
Right.
people being biased or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm used to that. You know what I mean? But yeah, to see that from somebody that looked like him, and nowadays I know who he is, right? Like I really know who he is.
Yeah.
Like like really, really know who he is. Like, um, man, it's kind of like, no, it ain't kind of like, it's like it. Our conditions are the same, right? As human beings, and no, I don't know that word human beings is right. I question stuff like that. Where that come from?
Mm.
Where I learned it at? That's the questions I ask myself. Where did I learn that at? A human being. I don't know. I got a reference book over here, um, and it says something totally different that I it ain't mentioned not one time in there. Anyway, that's a whole different.
Yeah. We'll get to it though.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, I I went to the hospital. Man, it was bad. So Melissa wanted to see her. So Melissa, and Carrie went to the hospital, and it's yes, it was weird, man. I had to get out of there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it was just some stuff going on medically. Yeah. Anyway, it was very and I can see it. It was very uh, I could still see that shit in my head, like what was going on, and I ran out of there, man. When told, hey, all kind of alarms was going off, but I went in there, told the people, hey, y'all got to come check on her. Something is going on, and I sat in there for a few minutes after that, and I left, and I never went back. So a couple few days after that, they decided to take her off life support, and that is unfortunate. Unfortunate. That is the last I had any information about that. Although I talked to her mom sometime through social media, but I never asked those questions,
Mm.
and I haven't. I'm pretty sure she'd be very willing to give me whatever information it is I needed, but I just haven't for whatever reason. That gives me something to think about on
Mm.
that note. Anyway, yeah.
Mm. Is there any characteristics of me that trigger emotion that reminds you of my mother?
Yeah. Yep. Yes, definitely. She was very soft spoken, man. She had a spirit of you know, she spoke very soft. She had a very gentle spirit.
Mm.
Um, until she got upset, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but yeah, man, she was yeah. So you being soft spoken like that,
Mm.
um, the first time I seen that, and it just reminded me. I said, "Yep, that is definitely something his mother would do." When we was in Stockton, man, we was at the store. You gonna be able to recall this.
Mm.
It was a guy in front of the store, and I just gave you some money. We came out the store. You didn't buy nothing. We came out the store. The dude was sitting there, and you gave him the money.
Mm.
You remember that?
Think so.
You
Yeah.
gave him $5.
Mm.
Um, that yeah, that kind of thing. Just that um, uh, compassion,
Mm.
that you have for others. You know, really reminds me of your mom.
Mm. Next question. Um, could you speak on your trauma with your parents and how did it affect with the outcome with the way that you are?
Oh man, that's a that's a very interesting question. Gina would say, "That's a very interesting question." Um, I know if she sees this and she hear me say that, she gonna start laughing. But being that we're being transparent, I when I was about we were staying in San Francisco, man. We were staying on I think we were staying on Haight and Ashbury. Either we were staying on Haight and Ashbury or we was either staying on a lot of people don't believe that. I stayed on Haight and Ashbury. You know, that's the um hippies and all that,
Oh,
man. And I'm
dang.
talking about it used to be I mean, that was their spot. Ashbury, but I stayed right on Haight and Ashbury, man.
Mm.
You probably can look that up on Google or something and see a bunch of hippies and all that kind of stuff. But it was a very, very prominent place in the '60s and the '70s. Um, and
In San Francisco?
yeah, it's so yeah. So what happened was what the first thing I seen that was traumatic for me. Like it was I don't know, we was driving down the street and I don't know, man. I remember some dude like trying to get at being disrespectful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was just disrespecting my father as a man.
Mm.
The man I call dad is Roy Smalley Senior, because I just that's who I knew as dad. Anyway, he he was saying something, man, and pops didn't like it, and
Mm.
he put in some work, and he went to jail for that shit.
Mm.
So that was traumatic, man. And I remember his hand was all messed up. So on one of his hands, and in fact, he was from Spokane, Washington. And that's what's so ironic about that, right? He was from Spokane, Washington. Uh, and I remember us coming here one time. I must have been about 7 or 8. And yeah, I could make connections with Spokane and in San Francisco because at that time we were staying in no we were staying in Oakland, but we I used to spend a lot of time in San Francisco. So they had a street called the Visadero in San Francisco. So when we got here, I could make that connection, the vision, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it was a trip. I remember going to the White Elephants, and I know I'm off subject, but just yeah, I remember going to the White Elephant as a child, all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. Yeah, I called her Aunt Selma. She stayed on the west side. Um, yeah. So most of my as a little kid came from pops and just shit he did, you know.
Mm.
So that was one. So all the police sirens and stuff. I think that start. I didn't have a. I think that's the connection. Like I
Mm.
didn't like the police because they took him to jail that day, you
Mm.
know. So anytime I would hear police sirens and fire engines at that time,
Mm.
it just kind of what they call that shit.
They triggered you?
Yeah, and it was like, what do they call that? What is that thing they call? It's called. Here I am. See, that's the effects, right? Get forgetful. Um, and this dude told me I had it. I didn't believe it. So post traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD. I
Yeah,
was just gonna say
PTSD.
that.
Yeah. So anyway, and you know, here we are having this conversation about stuff like that, right?
Mm.
And you get in all these medical terms and stuff like that, trauma. Um, I would like to think that, man, I don't have no trauma. We just deal with the shit, right? But
Mm.
times and things have changed drastically. Back then, they didn't talk about stuff like that, man. Growing up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was pretty traumatic. When we was here in Spokane with him, traumatic. One of his partners, um, a guy, and he told this guy. I remember he gave him ample warning to not do certain stuff, you know. And the dude did it. then he peed in the car, right? Peed on himself. They had been drinking and stuff, and they kind of tightened him up, put him on a curve. When knocked on the door, told the people there you go, and so Roy was kind of pops was rough, man. So I got to see that kind of stuff. I tell you something else that was traumatic for me, man, and I was thinking about this. Is that like I get emotional about it because it means a lot to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got three older brothers, and not growing up with them all the time, like all the time, that always bothered me, always bothered me, man, you know, cause I just always wanted my big brothers, you
Right.
know, cause I knew I had them, and I know they kicked ass. And just stuff I went through as a child, man. Like, damn, man, I just always wanted to be around my brothers, you know. And when I did get around them, it was always a little bit different. It wasn't stuff that it wasn't. It was never like how I would imagine it or want it to be. Um, and But it was always cool, man. I just love the fact that and I used to say that to people all the time growing up, man. I wish my brothers was here. We'll whoop, yeah, we'll put in some work, anyway. So yeah, so stuff like that, man, was like I think that kind of stuff was traumatic to me. Otherwise, why would I be emotional about it like right now,
Right.
so I think about that kind of thing. And I don't mind being emotional, man. I think it's pretty cool, like to not act like as if um to not act as if in a sense that it don't matter. So I can act like that, but how real is that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to my own self, I gotta be true too, despite what the world may think about it. You know what I mean? So what I do with things like that, man, just like this, I got the questions before I was here with some of them. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my, for you, man, for real, like so things that are uncomfortable, become become more comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when Kurt Robinson, man, I had to steal his quote. Um, he calls it leaning into it, man. Like things that are uncomfortable, lean into it. Embrace it, right? I love
Mm-hmm.
that, man. What a concept. And then when I practice that, it it makes things not so. It makes the whole it makes things just so much different. So that fear factor kind of goes away, right? And that's what courage is about. It's not the elimination of fear. It's me being able to walk through the fear. One of my biggest fears, I'm gonna have to learn how to swim. I'm serious, man. Yeah, that's a big fear for me, man. I keep telling myself, you know what? I'm gonna get in that water, man, and I'm gonna swim. Even though I'm dog pedaling, right? And the water got to be over my head. I can't be able to drop my feet down and still be standing up. I got to be in a place where I can. The water got to be over my head, like that. Yeah, that's one of the things I need to walk through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just embracing stuff, man. And why act as if, right? Because as if ain't the truth. It's kind of like it ain't kind of like it's like it's what it is. It's like it's there, and I just act like it is not there. You know, it's an elephant in in the living room. How can I not see it? How
Yeah.
can we not address it? Man, they got a big ass elephant in there, and it's purple, right? So how can we not see it? We need to talk about that, right?
Mhm.
It need to be addressed, you know. And how do I eat that elephant? Let's get rid of it. What we do, we got to eat it, right? We eat it one bite at a time, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does trauma affect your parenting? Because one thing I could take from it is that you said that you wish your brothers was there, and I feel like that's one of the reasons you want me to be close with my little brother.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You made that connection. I didn't. I
Mhm.
wouldn't even probably even notice that, but
Okay,
you
that's
just
huge.
said that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's huge for me, man. For you and him to have a relationship, right? Like I mean, a relationship, not a but really, and he probably want to be. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. He want a big brother, and he got one, right?
Mhm.
And not to mention he got a father, right? So generational curses. That's what this was all about, right?
Mhm.
So there it is. That's how it looks. In my reference book, it talks about that. Either I
Mhm.
believe that book or I don't, right? But how do we break that? How do we do that, right? And that's a whole nother step, a conversation too, right?
Mhm.
But how do we? How well, not how do we? Yeah, me and you, right?
Mhm.
But how do I personally um not make it look different? How do I live that to be different? I gotta live it, right? I
Mhm.
gotta be living in it for it to be different. So there's some things I gotta do in my life to make um that make that real and make it look different than it has in the past, from like way in the past, way before me in the past. How do I make that look different? There's some things I gotta do. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's some things I gotta do personally. You know, I ask the question all the time, man. Can two people walk together and be not agreed? Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Mhm. In what ways do you strive to create a different experience for your children compared to your own upbringing, considering the impact of your inner child trauma?
I missed the mark, man. I missed the mark completely, right? Um, I've at, up until this point, man, I missed that mark,
Mm.
right? And that's um, that's I own it though. You know what I mean? Like, man, you know, I yeah, I go with that wish shit, but I can't wish none of it different, you know.
Mm.
Um, it has been um, my experience, my children experience, my parents experience and stuff, right? To make that connection, since we talking this generational stuff. Um, but when I get honest with myself, there are a lot. There are so many things that I would like to do, like to have done different, right?
Mm.
Um, some people like to think, so what I'm about to say is, I couldn't do none of them different than I did, and if I could have, I would have. That's my truth,
Mm.
right? If I could have did any of that stuff, life different, I would have did it different. I didn't have the power, you know, to do that any different because I didn't want to do it like that. I wanted to do it different. You know, all my ideals were, you know, kind of grandiose in a sense, right? But anyway, but I didn't have the power to do any of that different. And when I go there, when I do that, when I get there to this point where I'm at, my mindset these days, it make my life so much easier. I ain't beating myself up about that. You know what I mean? I move forward, man, and that's just been part of my experience, right? Man, I hear some crazy stuff in some of the places I go, right? One of the things I hear, one of the things I've heard, um, and my brother Peter used to say it was this guy at a place that he used to frequent quite a bit. Thinking about my brother Peter, man, I miss him immensely. And he would be very proud of he would be very proud of me. He would be very proud of you. He'd be very proud to of what we're doing right now. One of the things he would say though is that um, some guy used to say, yeah, he know he did a lot of things in his kid's life. So I'm gonna just say it like he said it. He said, yeah, I know I fucked my kids, fucked them up. And he would say, but now it's their job to unfuck themselves, right? So that's kind of harsh,
Yeah.
but true. Otherwise, this is what I get to do as a child. I've done it as a child of parents, right? I heard something so profound the other day. The lady said, so when I'm doing that, I'm blaming, right? I'm blame shifting. Blame shifting um, is me taking no accountability for my actions, right? Um, so when you ask the question, my answer was I missed the mark. Ain't no blame shifting in that, right? Because when I blame shifted, the acronym the lady gave was believing lies and making excuses. I got goosebumps when she said that. Believing lies and making excuses. That's blame, right? That's how it looks. That's how it looks. No accountability. So there you go.
I got another question from one of the other topics we did. So you were saying like psychology was weird to you, and that made me think of a question. Did you have like any chance to talk about anything that you've been through that hurt you with your parents, or was it like a subject not to do? Because it's like when I look at the black community, not now, but back then, it's it was less popular to talk about therapy or any of that. So like, was that um present in your household with your parents? And if it wasn't, or it was, how did it affect you in the long run?
I used to have questions.
Mm.
I used to have questions. Um, and I used to hear quite a bit, you need some help, right? Me. Uh, I used to hear that quite a bit. So maybe I should have, somebody knew something,
Right.
right? Um, if I need some help and I wasn't getting it where I was at, I should have been somewhere else getting it, right? But shit, man. So somebody knew something, right? Um, Jessie May knew something. Miss Jessie May, she knew something. My mother knew something. Um, and part of that thing is that I got therapy. It wasn't the kind I wanted. It wasn't the kind I need. You know, I got I would get sent to therapeutic communities in a sense. Juvenile hall, you know, stuff like that, right? Which didn't help, right? And these people had, I never forget this one dude. His name was Mr. Knowles. Knowles. Yeah. Knowles. I
Mm.
couldn't stand this Mark, man. Little short dude, man. Not helpful at all, right? He misdiagnosed me from the gate. I was like, everything she telling my mother is a lie.
Mm.
No, no. Um, and yeah, I think children act out.
Mm.
I think they act out. I know children act out. So no, I didn't. I didn't speak it with
Mm.
words. I did things to shoot myself in the foot with actions. If that
Mm.
make any sense.
That makes
So
sense.
that's how I expressed that.
Mm.
Cause I didn't know how to express it. I
Right.
but not open my mouth and say something like that.
Yeah.
Um, how I felt about something. And when I did, when I got to an age and start kind of having a trying to have a voice,
Mm.
um, I end up at Auntie Ann house.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, because no, that wasn't acceptable. You
Mm.
know, two, um, maybe it was, but I didn't know how to approach it. You know
Mm.
what I mean? My
Mm.
mother was very approachable. I didn't know how to approach it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and with pops, no, it wasn't happening.
Mm.
Period.
Mm.
That's it. That's it.
Mm.
Ain't no it was a dictatorship. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Yep, this is what it is, that's what you do. No questions asked.
Mm.
Ask questions. I dare you to ask questions with your answer. With your actions. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
all right, we're gonna have a conversation. Belt, ass, that's how it works. That's how it looks. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway. But no, man, that there was no room for that dialogue. And if it was, I didn't know how to approach it.
Mm.
But I seen I just see my mother and Peter have conversations that was pretty like she just had conversations with him like she didn't like, and I didn't have those kind of conversations with her, you know.
Mm.
Like it was like a open ended like conversation, right? And I don't know, man. Um, but yeah, no. So that's a
Okay.
we didn't do it.
That reminds me of another thing. So I was listening to this Kendrick Lamar song, and it's about father issues.
Hmm.
And in the song, he's talking about um to keep it short, he's talking about how he really couldn't talk about his feelings. He said a line that he said that
I heard
his
that.
father's mom passed away. Then it's like it was like a couple of days after he went back to work, and that's how life is. That's how you have to do. So like, do you think you have any of that in you where it's like, cause with men it's like, I guess there's this thing where we really can't show feelings that makes us weak.
I'm gonna show you this. This how it looks, man. And not so much today, right?
Mhm.
But um, I love like I love watching women have dialogue, especially when it's an issue going on,
Yeah.
right? Um, what they do, they get real about it. They talk about what it is, right?
Mhm.
They so men don't do that.
Mhm.
We talk about we know something going on
Right.
with my partner, with my friend, and we won't. We're kind of say if I was having some problems with a woman, right?
Mhm.
Which I call Teresa problems, right? Um, my partner Adrian used to say that to me. Um, What's up, G? You having some Teresa problems, right? Anyway, he was really funny, man, from Alabama. Anyway, so women, we men, we'll talk about things, and we talk We talk shoulder to shoulder.
Mm.
Women talk heart to heart.
Mm.
Yeah. Causes and conditions. Men don't do that. We talk shoulder to shoulder. We'll talk around it, right? Unless unless I got somebody in my life that I really trust and I really can get, and I need that in my life, like somebody that can and somebody I can go talk to about anything, and it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, because the reality is everybody done been through some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, we go through stuff. We just don't talk about it. Men don't talk about it. We don't show our emotions about it for whatever reason, right? But am I human or am I a sociopath? Like, so I got something going on. Oh, no big deal. But this shit is eating me up. It's 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 driving on me. It got me, right. And I don't have the wherewithal to. What's wrong? Oh, nothing. I'm fine. Now I say that, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the acronym for that: fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm am. I'm that right now. I'm fine,
Mm.
but I'm through. You know, and I really want to talk about it and don't know how to approach it
Mm.
because fear, all this stuff, mostly fear,
Right.
right? Fear, scared,
Mm.
scared, the coward. You can't even talk about your feelings. I can't even talk about my feelings. I like using I statements. So, yeah, I can't even talk about my feelings. What a coward. Part of it, I never learned how. I never seen it, but
Mm-hmm.
I get to learn this stuff these days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm around some people some men that I can. I was like, damn, it's 6 o'clock. Anyway, anyway, yeah. So yeah, man. So until I learn how to do that, I won't.
Mm. What are the unique joys and struggles you've experienced as a single father?
Um, the struggles were, it's in every struggle I've had in life, there's been some joy in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes both for balance.
Yeah.
Um, this, some of the struggles is just being a single parent, like not there's that's why people like Bobby is so significant. Gina so significant. Um, Vet, all them, Rika, all them. That's why they significant. Auntie Ann, so significant because um, I think I know, right? I need I need to see another side of it, opposed to just a man's side, right?
Right.
Um, I need to get, so that's the balance in it, right? Um, I need to see, and I need to know. I need to see it, not feel it. I need to see it um, from both sides. Like I've always wanted. So that's one of my biggest ones. That's why I always try to. I've always tried to. That's what I didn't try. That's why I've always connected you and would try to push you in that direction to develop relationships with women in our family and women that's around, because some of them conversations, I don't know how to have them conversations with you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That ain't been my experience. And not only that, it's a totally different perspective. You
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, polar opposites,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
I need polar opposite than what I know sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I need to see I need to see it. I don't need to hear it. Damn that. I need to see it, like envision it Then I can emulate it. All that, man. Damn that, man. It's pointless. It's worthless. Yeah. But I need. So that has always been just having a different how can I say it? That um where it comes women come from a totally different place than men when it comes to things like even conversations, yeah, so that yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Um, are there any challenges you faced breaking generational curses
Yeah, right now.
right now?
Period. I ain't got to. Yeah. My relationship with my children, right? Um, well, relationship with God children that He's allowed me to be a part of, or not, right? And that's tough, man. And I just own my stuff, right? And people have a right. Speaking of your brother and you, right, have a right to not be okay with something, whatever that is, and especially when it deal with me, right? I would like to hear it personally. I would like to hear it. I want to hear it, right? You tell me truths, right? I've heard them, right? Why should I care about you and you don't? Why should I care about you and you don't care about? Why should I care about your health and you don't care about your own health? Things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Naked is true. Um, Stuff that I have to chew on, shit like beef jerky, leather. I have to chew on it and then if I'm lucky, I'll be able to digest it, and come to terms with that. That's the good news. The bad news is that I stay. That's one thing about the truth. It pissed me off before it set me free. If I'm lucky, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. If I'm lucky, if I, yeah, I can stay in that and sit in it. All that. The hell, he think he talking to? That's my. I'm the daddy. All this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Rhetoric, bull, just crap, man. So if I stay in that kind of thinking, man, I would never see the truth. I'm kind of like dude on A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So when I come up with hard truths, I think about that. Cause I can't. I have to chew on it for a while. So yeah, just I would like to, and that's how like sitting down, having conversation, and addressing, not acting as if it's not, because it is an elephant in the room. Let's talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that part.
Okay. If you can say anything that your inner child needed to hear, what would you say to him?
I would say, stay the course, man. It's gonna be all right. Life gonna have its experiences. And as a child, he probably wouldn't experience it. But what I would probably say something to the point of, calm seas don't make good sailors.
Um, the last one to any single father that was in your position or going through what you went through, what would you tell them?
Probably the same thing I would tell that little child. It's gonna be a challenge. Um, use resources and people, um, because we can't do it by ourselves, and it take a village to raise a child.
Okay. I think that's the best way to end it.
Thank you, man.
This is Free the Mind, where you can be the vine and be the shine. And we will see y'all on the next episode.